Would you please welcome Leanne Peacock as she comes and shares an amazing testimony of God's mercy and grace. Come on, Leanne, share with us.
My name is Leanne Peacock. My family and I have been members of Bell Shoals for the past 6 years. My husband Wallace is in agriculture, and I have had the privilege of being a stay-at-home mom with my son Justin, who is now 23, and Tara, my daughter, who is 19. God is the foundation of our home and has blessed us more than we could ever say. I love my family. I love my life. I've never smoked or drank alcohol. I exercise, eat healthy, take vitamins, and never missed my annual checkups. I've worked hard to have my life. And yet on April 12th, 2004, exactly 1 year ago this week, Wallace and I listened as my doctor told me I was in stage 3 breast cancer. Every fiber in my body grew numb, and I felt as if she had just told me my life was over. In an instant, it didn't matter how many dishes were in the sink, what kind of car was in the garage, or how many clothes were hanging in my closet. Nothing mattered but the fact that I didn't want to die. Suddenly seeing my children achieve their dreams or growing old with the man I love more than life itself flashed before my eyes. Yet, as I began to experience a fear like I've never known, I found myself in the sheltering arms of Jesus. I felt his tender embrace as my heart felt as if it were breaking in two. My weakness became his strength. My fear became his courage. And I knew that everything I had been taught and believed about God's promises were true. I was seeing the amazing grace of a loving God. In my most difficult moments, my greatest trials, he is the peace that passes all understanding. That night, my family and I laid across my bed and prayed for God's perfect will in my life. We cried out for his mercy, for his healing power. Some say the age of miracles is over, but I still believe the same power that raised Jesus from the dead could heal me. On May 11th, the doctors removed the cancer from my body, and I began a long journey that would prove to be the toughest thing I've ever had to do. I then began the first of 8 high-dose chemotherapy treatments that would take place every 2 weeks over the next 4 months. Shortly after my second treatment, my hair started to fall out. And on a Friday afternoon, cancer took its second big chunk out of my heart as a friend shaved my head. My daughter Tara sat and held my hand, and we cried together as my shoulder-length hair fell to the ground. Instantly, I looked the part, and cancer was showing his ugly head on the outside. 6 weeks of intense radiation would follow the chemo. There were days when I didn't think I could face tomorrow, but it was on those days that I knew I had people standing in the gap for me. There is nothing like being part of the family of God. My Bible fellowship class was calling out my name before the Lord, and the celebration choir was praying for God's strength and healing in my life. I had family and friends that loved and cared for me in ways I've never known. On the days I didn't think I could go on, I could almost hear God's loving voice say, "I know you can't make it another day, but can you make it 1 more hour, 1 more minute? I am here. I will carry you through this." On one afternoon when I was at home alone, I walked through our bathroom, stopping in front of the mirror. As I stood there, I began to cry, as I found myself looking into the eyes of someone I could hardly recognize. My body was scarred from fighting the war with cancer. My hair was gone from the chemo. My eyes were dark from the many long sleepless nights. But as I stood there looking into my own tear-filled eyes of despair, something came over me. It was almost as if I was looking into the face of Jesus. Through his eyes, what I saw was beautiful. You see, it is in his eyes that we see who we really are. It wasn't what I looked like on the outside that would get me through this terrible disease. That was all stripped away in a few short months. It was who lives on the inside of me. It is Jesus Christ who sustains me. Those few minutes before every surgery, when my family had to leave me, it was His tender arms I could feel firmly around me. On those long sleepless nights, when Satan would wake me up and try to saturate my mind and very being with fear of the unknown, it was Jesus who was there to calm my fears. On the lonely days when it seemed that my life had stopped and the whole world was going on without me, through every scan and test, God was there to remind me I am never alone. After all my chemo treatments were finally over, my doctor removed the port they used to administer the chemo into my body. It left a small scar on my right chest. It's an ugly little scar that I try to cover up most of the time. One night I was talking to my brother when he noticed the scar and commented about it. I told him what it was and how I couldn't stand the sight of it. He responded by saying something I will never forget. He said that the meaning of the word scar is a place where there's been a healing. That hit me like a ton of bricks, and all of a sudden I saw that scar as a badge of honor, a reminder of God's healing touch in my life. So many times we look at the scars of our lives, whether they come from sickness, broken relationships, addictions, or sorrows, as things that are ugly and represent pain, when in reality they are victories through Jesus Christ. God doesn't use our circumstances to define us, but to refine us, to mold us and reveal the wonders of His sovereignty. When the world gets stuck on the word why, God meets His children in their belief, and that's where faith begins. Joy and sorrow can walk hand in hand when Jesus is the foundation. A few months ago, on a Thursday evening, I was riding home from the grocery store. I felt good. My hair was coming back. I actually felt like Leanne again. Everything that God had done in my life over the past year started coming to my mind, and I was overwhelmed with such joy. I began to praise God out loud for each blessing. I told God if He would give me the opportunity, I would tell everyone what He has done in my life. That following Sunday, Simeon came and sat down on the pew in front of me and asked me to pray about giving my testimony. That is why I know I'm supposed to be here sharing with you tonight. I don't know what you are going through or what scars your life has left you, but I do know if you lean on the Lord with every breath, you can make it. His promises are true. Come, bring everything to Jesus, for only His grace can save you. Only His power can heal you, and only His love will carry you through whatever this life may bring. No matter what tomorrow holds, I'm glad my hope is in Jesus. And tonight I give Him all the honor and glory for what He has done in my life.